The nation's two largest pharmacy chains, CVS and Walgreens, announced they will begin selling the chemical abortion pill, mifepristone, as early as this month over the counter. Now, this announcement comes even as the March 26th date for oral arguments before the Supreme Court that will decide whether the FDA's 2016 and 2021 actions approving chemical abortion pills were in violation of federal statute. Now, Family Research Council, together with post-abortion expert Dr. Martha Shuping, filed an amicus brief in the case focusing on the harms to women from these drugs, the way they intersect with our medical system, and the way in which intimate partner violence intersects with provisions of abortion and the abortion pill. Joining me now to discuss this is Chris Gacek, Senior Fellow for Regulatory Affairs here at the Family Research Council, who led the effort for FRC in the drafting and formation of the written arguments in our brief. Chris, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
So at issue in this case, the Food and Drug Administration's approval of the chemical abortion drug mifepristone, as well as the agency's 2016 and 2021 removal of health safeguards for women and girls. Now, this pill has been around for a while, but it's been heavily regulated, requiring medical interaction, and these rules remove that. Tell us about where we stand.
Right. So, in 2000, when the drug was approved, FRC and we have always said that the original approval was inadequate in terms of the safeguards put in place by FDA. And we've never backed off of that for an inch. But in 2016, under the Obama administration, just as it was heading out, and then the Biden administration in 2021, they further weakened the safeguards. And I think the goal is to basically get it to the point where it's essentially dispensed in a pharmacy without any supervision. So like Walgreens and CVS are probably going to be giving it out in their clinics, and you go and you meet someone there and you have to sign some forms. But the main thing that I think happened in 2016 was that they removed the presence of physicians in the process altogether. And then they also didn't require that the person take the mifepristone tablet in the presence of the prescriber, the person giving it out. And that sort of allowed, it seemed to us, the possibility that people could take the pills for other people or use the things in other ways. But the main thing to me was, and also there was another thing that they did, was they made these major changes in the dosages and the methods of administration, but they also stopped requiring non-fatal adverse event reporting. So if you had a really bad reaction but you didn't die, you didn't have to report it, which is, the FDA just almost like covering its own tracks in this thing. It was really horrible. But getting the doctors out was a big problem.
So there's no connection with a doctor. So this is,
right.
And I think part of our argument in our brief is that this allows big pharma, if you will, to cash in those that are pushing the abortion pill, and leaves everyone else to pick up the pieces, because it's estimated we'll see thousands of women that will end up in ERs, in emergency rooms, being treated for the adverse consequences of this abortion pill. And where's going to be big pharma? They're not even connected to it. CVS, Walgreens, and others who will be pushing these pills, they'll get off scot-free.
Right. This is a big realization that I had. I mean, I've been following this for 20 years, and it just sort of struck me the right way, looking at just the filings and by Alliance Defending Freedom, but also going back and looking at the documents. The doctors who are suing here are basically emergency room doctors who are the unwitting recipients of these patients. And back in 2000, when FDA approved the regimen, what they did was, and the doctors have always opposed this, the pro-life doctors, they always wanted physicians involved who had admitting privileges in hospitals, so that, because there's a 4% failure rate, and the FDA and the top abortion researchers will admit 3 to 5, we basically say 4% of the patients who take this drug will need to have emergency room services, right? So what's going to happen to those people? Once you take the doctors out of the equation who don't have admitting privileges, that means you're basically doing ER dumping. And so the last step of this, let me just make one quick point. Guttmacher Institute, the pro-abortion think tank, released its 2020 survey of abortion, and 53% of all abortions in the United States are now chemical abortions. But they reached about 500,000 of the chemical abortions. So 4% of 500,000 is, you would expect 20,000 of these visits each year. It's just shocking.
Right.
And so Walgreens and CVS, I don't think they know what they're getting themselves into here.
The one other aspect, very quickly, and we're out of time, Chris,
Sure.
is this will cover up violence that may be taking place between men and women. A woman that finds herself pregnant could be being abused. That one connection with the doctor could be the unveiling of that abuse.
And in 2021, they shifted to telemed, which makes it even worse, right? They allowed that. So you're exactly right. The traffickers, all sorts of people can go and get these, and women who are under sort of very coercive circumstances won't even have to go into a facility to get these things.
Keeping them entrapped in these oppressive, abusive relationships. Chris Gacek.
You want contact with doctors. You want them to have contact, and that's what
could be the out for them. Could be the out.
Yes.
Chris Gacek, great work on the brief. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.